Hi, everyone, and welcome to the London Community Week podcast, the official podcast of London Community Week, a global event all about building meaningful long term communities. I'm your host, Kate Bova, as usual. Whether you work at a startup, a nonprofit, or a global SaaS brand, if you believe that community is more than a buzzword and plays a real role in a growth and connection, then, guys, this podcast is for you. Of course, big thanks to Led by Community for making this podcast and the whole London Community Week possible. And today on the show, we have Ruthie Berber. Ruthie is a results driven, people oriented marketing and community leader with over 13 years of cross functional experience, largely in B2B SaaS, building and scaling teams, programs from 0 to 1, and driving 3x community growth and engagement. She is currently the director of community at Grow Therapy, a mental health platform, also a marketplace for accessible care. Her team focuses actually on the engagement, retention, and elevation of their 17K plus providers through online community, programming, virtual in-person events, and clinical enrichment opportunities. And professionally, Ruthie is known for being a capital C community builder, collaborator, and dot connector. Outside of Grow, Ruthie spends her time leading the New York chapter for global nonprofit Women in Innovation, WIN, the director of New York chapter of the Community Professional Network led by Community, and as a local captain facilitating different meetups for the Old Girls Club. Ruthie, amazing experience and awesome to see you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate. It's so great to be here.
So let's start with you. Can you tell us more about your role now, about your current role, and which communities are you part of these days?
I mean, you did such a good job rounding it all up. But as you mentioned today, professionally at work, where I am right now, I'm the director of community at Grow Therapy. It's a US-based mental health care platform, and I get to basically build community and a sense of belonging for our 17,000 therapists that are in the community and 19,000 therapists that are on the platform. When I'm not doing that, I like to bring people together in person. It's really, really something that I care a lot about. And because of that, I'm actually the chapter leader for Led by Community. I've been working with Francisco and the team since 2023. We put on meetups in New York, which is really a lot of fun. So check out the New York channel if you're not already in there. Otherwise, I co-lead the Women in Innovation New York chapters. It's a global nonprofit. So these are meetups for building out networking and enabling women to basically break through that glass ceiling that we see in the innovation space. Right now, only 2% of VC money goes to women-led innovation. So by bringing people together and the power of community, we're able to elevate women into leadership spaces. And then finally, the Old Girls Club. It is a women's professional network. And again, drawing on the energy and power of connection and networking to really help women just no questions asked, first give and then ask. And then otherwise, I'm a member of Marketing Women, the community, and Fabric here in New York.
Yeah, with us today, amazing woman and amazing expert, Ruthie. Actually, how did you start it in community building? It was something that you planned, or it happened by chance?
So it's an interesting one. I'm a marketer. I've been in marketing, I mean, my whole career, and even when I was in university. It's something I've always gravitated towards, and I think that because of my marketing tendencies, I was naturally primed for community, which, as I think a lot of people, I just fell into. I was leading a marketing campaign called Amazing Women in E-commerce, which was like an industry awards campaign. At my previous company I worked at, it was an e-commerce marketing platform. we called on the industry to nominate amazing women. And for every nomination, we would donate $5 to Girls Inc. We managed to raise a lot of money. There was a lot of like social impact, community. And then naturally what happened was after we announced these honorees, and this was in 2018, 2019, the women who had gotten involved, the people who had participated in the campaign wanted more. They wanted to connect with one another. They were interested in forming those connections. And at the time, because I was leading the campaign, the leadership team kind of asked me like, hey, can you turn this into a program? Can you do something with this? So we started pretty small, some meetups around industry trade shows. Then we had more regular meetups. So we had a newsletter. So from the newsletter, we started having online events, an Instagram, a website, and eventually a Slack community. We had about 4,000 women when I left and 10,000 newsletter subscribers. And then from that point, it was kind of like, oh, you can build community for amazing women. Now, why don't you build community for our customers? And that was the first time in 2021 that I like officially took on a community title and built a product B2B SaaS community.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, looks like my camera is stuck. Great.
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah,
okay.
It's okay. Yeah, you can continue.
No, that's it. I mean, really, that's how I got into community, just by accidentally building community for a marketing campaign, in short.
It's a great story. You have a lot of experience in marketing, in the community world. What actually motivates you? What inspires you every day to do your job and to continue to do your job?
So I absolutely love people. In case it wasn't obvious, I'm a raging extrovert. I really draw a lot of energy from connecting with others and from connecting the dots. So I really feel like sometimes it's like I meet somebody and I want to introduce them to somebody else, and I want to, improve their situation by exposing them to new spaces. And that's kind of what I do with community, is I just bring people into the room so that they can grow, so that they can meet others. And I think what really motivates me is to see when those connections like fire off, and when people really start to just to gain value and really see like real results from being plugged into a new community.
Yeah, I know it's important just to love people, because when you're working a lot with communities, with customers, in your case, with your platform, with your guys. So yeah, I think it's super important, especially in your sphere, and actually in for every community manager is super important to love what you do and to love people, because a lot of that we do for people. Let's talk a bit about London, about the conference, because London Community Week is coming up. It will be so soon, actually, in July. Could you please share with us about your topic, and what will you be speaking about? Why do you think this topic is important and valuable right now for the audience?
Yeah, so I'm going to be speaking about community as a growth strategy, and how you can turn engagement into something that has real business impact. I think of community as a real driver of retention, referrals, and trust. And I think that if you harness the power of that, you can actually transform business outcomes. So what we're doing here at Growth Therapy, as I mentioned, we have 19,000 therapists on the platform. But if the therapists are not, one, high quality, two, actually like helping clients achieve clinical outcomes, if they're not happy on the platform and take their clients off the platform, then the business won't survive. So in order to really like successfully ensure that one of our main business drivers is having these therapists on the platform, we need to ensure that they are satisfied, enabled for success, retained, loyal, have brand affinity, believe in what they're doing and like why they're even on the platform. And so I think that a lot of companies treat community either as an afterthought or as a marketing tactic. But if you actually integrate community into your business operations, you can transform it to absolutely reach business goals. So I'm going to be talking about like how you can make community into a growth engine, what kind of programs you can design, and how to measure that impact in a way that leadership understands. Because now this isn't my first rodeo. I've spent a lot of time building out communities and trying to kind of reach business outcomes through the power of building out and scaling community.
Yeah, it's very meaningful topic, and I think this topic that sparks a lot of curiosity, especially in guys who are working a lot with brands and communities around the brand, customer communities. It's super important, and maybe you can share with us some key insights, some takeaways. You hope that audience, maybe audience from the podcast or audience from the conference, will leave with after your talk at the conference.
So I think that something that's true for any community, if it's B2B SaaS, if it's customer, if it's a community of practice, if it's a community of, local networking, whatever it is, in order for a community to be successful, it must have real value for the members. So when you're building a community as an initiative, as a program, whatever it is, the most important thing is that it provides value to your members, not the value you think it's providing them, but that your members think it provides them value. And I think that's like, there's an art to understanding like what is actually valuable to members versus what you think is valuable to members. And if there's one thing I'd like people to take away is that there are a lot of things that in theory or in principle should bring value to members, but community isn't one size fits all. And every community is different and all your members are different. And I currently to date work on 4 different communities, 1 for work and 3 outside of work. And each of them have different needs and the members get value out of different things. But there is one thing that I think is universally true, and that is a community is successful if your members feel a sense of belonging. So I think that in order to get to a place where your members feel a sense of belonging, you really need to provide them value. And that is the difference across different communities. But something that's true across all communities is that sense of belonging is key. Without that sense of belonging, there's no reason for your member to stay in your community and not another community that does something else, something similar.
Sense of belonging, actually for you, it's about what?
So I think that for me, I think about it's a very hard thing to measure, right? But as in if you were to ask any member of the community if they feel like they're a part of the community or this is just a place that they visit to see things or to catch up or they don't feel any connection to it, it's really important to ensure that that's something like innate that a member feels. And so understanding if they feel connected or feel a part of your community, that's the sense of belonging.
Wow. I'm looking forward for your topic. Now it's in my plate as well, this big topic. So it will be interesting for me, for my clients. So looking forward.
Of course.
Yeah. Let's jump a bit to your backgrounds, marketing background, community backgrounds. What about some maybe failures? What's one mistake? I know that we have a lot of mistakes, but maybe you can remember some big mistake that ended up teaching you something important, something valuable. And from the other side, community moment that you are so proud of. Can you share with us?
Yeah, so a mistake I've made is kind of like I mentioned, it's thinking that the community provides value and it doesn't. Or like because I think it does. So like I put a lot of time and energy in, at my previous company, building out certain functionality and programs in the community that I was sure, because I was reading up and I was learning in different spaces what, how a B2B SaaS community should operate. And I was like, oh, if we do this, this, and this, like it will be high value. But I made a mistake because I didn't actually consult with the members. And these new features and functionalities that I spent time and energy and effort to launch were actually just falling flat because it wasn't something that provided them value. So I think that it goes back to just I misunderstood the assignment. In order to bring community members value, you have to actually understand and even just ask them what they want. Don't just assume this is something that members want. This is something that will bring them value. And in terms of my proudest moment, so I'll say, well, I'm going to say two things.
Okay.
One, I've been at Grow for a while now, and one of the most important things for me was bringing people in person. So before I joined the company, community was 100% virtual. And in December, end of December 2024, we put on our first in-person event in LA, and people and the providers came up to us, and some people had driven 3-4 hours to be at the event, a happy hour, just a happy hour on a Tuesday night. And they said, it's so isolating working as a therapist. It's so amazing that, you would put on an event like this. It's incredible to connect with people in person and actually feel like I'm part of a real community that translates like offline. And then I saw like the therapists at the end of the evening, like creating WhatsApp groups and like connecting. It was like just so amazing and like something I'm so proud of and such a win. And then we also have this Share Your Wins channel in our community. And one of the providers once posted a few months ago that Grow community was his win. So he said, like, it's my win of the week is that I'm part of this community, that I get so much value out of the community. Like he like said it, which I was just like so amazed by, that he would go out of his way to say it in a space that everyone's already in with him. So yeah, I think the Grow community is a really, really special place. I think therapists in general, it's a really isolating job, right? You're almost all the time, especially if you're in telehealth, you're sitting hours and hours alone, back to back on Zoom. You have no colleagues.
100%, yeah.
So it's really challenging. And I think that if we can bring them even some feeling of connection and community, whether it's online or offline, then we're doing our jobs.
And I think you're so proud of this because this is your result of big team, this connection with your community, with your members. It's amazing. It's really meaningful. And actually about results, you mentioned a bit about business results and how it's important to build community connected with business results, with business goals. How you measure it? You also mentioned that sometimes it's hard, but how you measure the impact of community for businesses, for business outcomes, for business goals, how to connect it.
So one of the things that I find super important, and I think that oftentimes a lot of community professionals are missing, is you must first understand what are the company goals. What are the business goals? How is the business oriented? Is the business focused on, I don't know, driving eyes on a, exposure and brand awareness? Is the business focused on demos, like securing requested demos? Is the business focused on acquiring clients? Like, what is the business focused on? And then understand what role the community plays and which like OKRs, like objectives and key results of those business strategic, directions your community can affect. So I here at Grow, we have a company OKR document, and we as a leadership team come together once a quarter to review our business goals. And I'm always tying back and looking at how the community can directly influence. So one of the business goals is the quality of network and the sentiment of network of our providers. And so those are two things that I can directly measure. One is the NPS score of the community members. So it's a good measure to understand, like, what is the sentiment? If the sentiment, so our sentiment just improved by 40% quarter over quarter. So we went up from an NPS of 36 to 50, which is, a very big jump and a very good indication of sentiment shift. And another thing that we want to understand is quality of network. So quality of network means, like, are we doing enough? One, are we putting enough content, educational content, practice, development and enablement, and how, like, one, are we doing that? And two, are the therapists engaging in that? If they are, then we're able to influence the quality. And then as a company, they check, different clinical quality measures, and we can directly correlate if our offerings in the community are impacting that.
Are you using some analytical tools or something to measure this success, to measure this quality of your programs? Maybe you use some methods or practices that helps you to measure this business outcome. And in general, maybe you love some community practices, some methods that you just use in your job and you can recommend other community managers.
Yeah, so I think, as I mentioned, NPS. So that's like just once a quarter, we do a survey of the community, and it's asking questions about, about the offerings, about the events, about this. But the first question is, how likely are you to recommend this community to other mental health professionals? And then the second question is, like, how satisfied are you with the community? So that's NPS and CSAT. Those are two, metrics that we get out of the gate. And then we also kind of assess and look into the analytics of our community platform. We're on Circles, so we look at, the percentage of monthly active users, and then also what percentage of those users are attending events, engaging with different content sections, especially our education materials. So we have a bit of like a mix of both LMS, and engagement and community.
What about trends? Maybe some trends, some big shift in the community sphere. Would you are paying close attention to maybe some of them you are using also in your job day by day?
Yeah, so actually outside of work, I'm seeing there's a bit of a fatigue for these like larger scale, like networking events or larger scale events that are just kind of like, people are over it. At least in New York, there's an event every single day. You can go on Luma and see that there are 20 events. So something that I think I'm seeing a trend towards is like more intimate events, one, and two, that are more curated and more, so it's not just like whoever signs up shows up, but really the community organizer is spending time on thinking who should be at the event. And personally inviting people to create a certain kind of environment that's more conducive to outcomes.
Yeah, that's a goal, because sometimes you are going to the event just for networking, and
yeah, it's boring.
Yeah, it's boring. It's not a good idea when you have goals, results, and you want to have really quality network with quality people. Yeah. Actually, we have a lot of guys here in the podcast. Also, I'm sure a lot of them will be during the conference. A lot of community managers that just starting their community journey, and maybe you have some advices for them for community managers who are just starting, and also maybe for community managers who are good enough in this sphere and have big journey already?
Yeah, so I think my advice is I hate to repeat myself, but it's like really like speak to your members, speak to your target audience, like build with your members versus for them. It's really important. Like we have an advisory board. It's important to have an advisory board. It's important to check in with your members and understand like, is what you're doing, are the initiatives and programs you're building, is that what they want? Is that what they're interested in? Get constant feedback from them, invite them into the space to be partners in building. So really my advice is just to not to just apply or build community and just apply it to anything, but really to think like every community is different. It must be different. It must be different because it's serving different audiences, and it's your responsibility as the community builder to bring your members or your target members into the fold so that what you do is actually successful because they are a part of it.
Yeah, Ruthie, thank you very much for sharing. It's so simple and so wise. Thank you very much. And I have actually also one question for you about future. If you had to describe your vision for the future of communities, of community worlds, community industry in 3 words or in one sentence, what would they be?
I think human connection and in person is going to continue to be a big shift and mover. Like since COVID, I think that's, we're just like making up for that. So in person, human connection, and I think localization is another one. I'm seeing like the importance of, once communities get too big, too international, too global, too, thousands and thousands virtual, like the most important thing is for like more localized connection to be able to take place, and it's important to facilitate that.
Amazing. Ruthie, thank you very much for your thoughts, for your experience, for your openness, and for sharing all these ideas, all this actually. I hope that we will see each other in London offline, and I
Of
hope
course we will.
yeah, who are just watching this video, I hope that you will be in London as well. We are waiting for you, looking forward. And yeah, Ruthie, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to chat with you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, guys, and see you. Have a good day, evening, and see you in London. Thank you, Ruthie.
Thanks, Kate.
Bye-bye.
Bye.